We're starting off with this episode, and it's the perfect one for both of us because D identifies most as a type 3. I identify most as a type 7. But before we hit record, we were just talking about how much all three of these really resonate with us in different ways. And what I have found, and I would love to hear your take on this, D, is that a lot of times when somebody is struggling to identify their type. Am I a 3, 7, or an 8? Or in the initial assessment, it's like these three tend to be towards the top. Of course, not always, but it's like it's not uncommon to see, oh, you ranked high as a 3 and then 8 and then so some order of this. And there's a lot of similarities, and we're going to talk about the similarities and the differences today. But what do you see when people are kind of identifying, starting that initial typing process as a 3, 7, or an 8?
Yeah, no, to your point, that's typically what I see are, they'll say, oh, these three scored the highest, or, even for myself, I've taken many assessments, trying the different ones out and seeing what's out there. And there's been times where, the 3 and the 7 for me, typically they will fluctuate. 3 more than 7, and then 8 will always be like a third. But they're always my three highest, no matter what assessment that I've taken. And so for me, it's that kind of like a lot of things in Enneagram, I will challenge folks to say which one punches you in the gut, right? So not because we like all the positive things,
Oh, for
uh,
sure.
like, oh yeah, I want this, I want success, I want that, I want freedom, I want control. So it's easy to identify and say, well, I want all of that. But then when you think about that thing that punched you in the gut, the fear, the negative side, the negative
Yeah.
side of it, that's when you're like, oh, okay, that's the one.
The
That's
overused strengths.
yeah,
It's like, oh,
that's
oh,
that's
shoot.
that's that. That's the thing right there.
Okay, so out of curiosity, and I will have to think about this too. What is the thing? Is there something specific that punched you in the gut about the type 3 overuse strengths or the shadow side that led you to believe, okay, I'm definitely a 3 versus a 7 or an 8?
Yeah. Um, wow. Going right for it, huh? So
Yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
bust right
yeah, no,
into it.
it's all good. Um, yeah, no, so that thing, so you know, growing up, so I grew up in the hood of DC. Um, and I was geeky, I was a nerd. Um, at one point I got the name the cool ass nerd because I did play sports and I could fight. Um, but I was into books and all those kinds of things. So it was this weird space. Um, but I remember because I was, more on the nerdier side than a lot of my friends, and peers. I remember at some point I always used to say, I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think. Um, and so, but I realize I do care. Right?
Mm,
Like the things that I do, the accomplishments. Yes, I want to be successful. Yes, I want to be valuable, but that's just it. I also realize not only do I want to be valuable, I want to be valued and I want to be
mm.
admired. And so with that, that was the thing that I was like, oh, like it was that saying you protest too much. So when I was saying, I don't care what they think, I don't care what they think, and people are like, well, no one even asked you if you care what they think. So why are you sharing that? And I'm
So,
like,
yeah, so what's that say?
what did I say? It says that I guess I do care. So yeah. So anyway, so that was that gut punch for me when I was like, ooh, crap. And sometimes it rears its ugly heads now. Like if a client doesn't call me back and like at a specific time, there's times where I'm like, ooh, did I do something? Did I say something? And I go, whoa, no, 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 no. Right? I had to talk myself off that ledge and be like, whoa. So anyway, so that's
You
that.
know,
That's the one for me.
that is, and I mean that's very vulnerable for anyone to admit, but especially to your point, if you're like have told yourself for so long that you don't care, to be like, oh dang, actually I do care. I mean that's a lot of bravery even to yourself. Recently, I was in a workshop. And there, when we did our type specific breakout groups, the type three group had probably the most powerful aha. And it really impacted the CEO of this organization because they had shared, similar to your point, it really means a lot to me because I think the conversation was around pet peeves and preferences. And they had said, it really means a lot to us when you tell us good job. Like it's a given that we're going to do a good job and we know that, but if you could say it more and be more specific about what was good about what we did, like we just eat that up. And the leadership, um the CEO of this organization was a type 8 and he said, I do always just expect that you will do a great job because you always do and we're on to the next goal. We're on to the next thing, but understanding that that means so much to you, like I really want to take the time to slow down and specifically like pull you aside or give you some specific feedback. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, what a great aha on both ends." And to be able to articulate that as a 3 to say like, "Hey, this means a lot to me."
Yeah, no, I would
Um,
say that. So you got to share yours. You do know that, right?
yes, I do. I was gonna say before we jump to the 7, just a quick refresher for anybody who's like, what exactly? So the 3 is striving to feel outstanding, looking to be successful, be seen as successful, have accomplishments. I always say I think we have a lot of type 3 vibes in the US anyway.
Yes.
So a lot of that is just kind of baked in. I mean, kind of high level, anything you would add to the 3 description?
I would say kind of what you just hit on, right? Threes are running on that. Am I winning?
Mm.
They said, am I winning? Am I doing the thing? Um, so yeah, so that's spot on.
Success is the only option.
Yeah. What does Yoda say? There's no try, there's just do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, so our threes, and then there are a lot of similarities between the other two. The next one is the type 7 who's striving to feel excited, wanting that freedom, flexibility, options. Let's just keep high vibing, keep a positive outlook on life. And for me, there are definitely a lot of things with the 3 that I see because of course, who doesn't want to be outstanding? Who doesn't want to be successful? And I do care what people think. Like I absolutely do. And maybe some of that is that transmitting undertone, and I don't know how much we're going to get into that, but there's the instinctual
Yeah.
biases there too. And I do love to you know, just jump in and figure it out as you go. It's like, I don't need a plan. We'll just do this. And there are a lot of things that I see myself. I also really struggled in the beginning between a 7 and a 2. And now it's like, how did I ever think I was a 2? I don't know. But some of it's like, oh, this is who I think I should be. And that also will flavor your typing process and make it complicated. Yeah. But to your point, it was like, well, gosh, okay. So if I'm reading the type 3, how they overdo their strengths. It's like setting unrealistic expectations, taking on too much, doing it for recognition, overdoing, bringing attention to themselves or their accomplishments sometimes, maybe hard to get to know. I'm like, maybe some of that I struggle with, but when I got to the overused strengths of the 7, to your point, that was where I was like, you don't know me. But it's like, oh, literally every problem that I've had in my life is like because of these overuse strengths, whether it's like career, relationship, family dynamics, I mean, just anything. And so the ability to follow through. I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I mean, no surprise, D. I have a new idea about something completely unrelated to the Enneagram. And I was like, I'm not going to do anything, but I just want to talk about it. And I was like, I just love talking about new ideas. It's like, I would just snort new ideas like cocaine. Like, it's just like, give me all the new ideas and let's brainstorm and let's come up with names. But then, like, when it comes to like, how would we do this? Like, what would like the money model be? And I'm like, ugh, snooze fest. That's not fun anymore. So, there are a lot of things I see in myself with the others, but where I get myself derailed in life is all the things with the seven, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, that makes sense because, you think about those things, and I'm sure that folks are listening, they may say, but yeah, I want that too.
Yeah,
Like, and that's
yeah,
the hard part. Because yeah, you know, I, I can resonate at times with you on that space where I'm like, ooh, shiny. Um, but then for me, it's coming back and going, but how do I make that actionable? Right. So that's that. I can go in that space, but then I gotta make it actionable so that I can win. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so
Um, Tell me if
I,
this. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was laughing because I was thinking about, so, I'm very competitive.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and so in my household, and now I'm very competitive. I don't mind losing. Um, like I really don't mind losing. It just doesn't happen a lot, like in games, like board games. So in our household, my wife has literally went and got a wooden plaque made that says, because we do a lot of game nights, we host a lot of game nights, and it literally says, if Demetrius loses, we all win. And like, that's the house rule. And I'm like, really? Like, that's the house. Like, I came home and she was so happy with this plaque. She's like, look what I got made. And she shows it. And now my son, like, he jumps on it. And so if she doesn't bring it up, he will literally run and get it if we're doing a game night. He goes, hey, mom, we got to do the house rules so everyone knows. So, yeah,
That
it's,
is hilarious. At first, I thought you were going with like she got you a plaque because she knows like how much you need it as a
oh,
like whenever
no,
you
no,
win. But it's like
no.
no, the opposite.
No. Remember
Oh,
the last episode that we talked about the twos being ruthless at times?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's some
yeah,
of that ruthless. Okay, okay. Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, there are several people that will come across in their typing journey like, am I a 3 or am I a 7? And I would be curious on your take on this or anything you would add. But I mean, there are so many similarities. And I think that overall, threes are pretty optimistic too. Like they have a lot of confidence in their abilities and their skills and their ability to succeed. Um, so there are several similarities, but what I had one of my clients came on as one of our clients came on as a podcast guest who was a type 3, and she shared her detest for brainstorming sessions. She said, "Call me when you guys get done and then you have the board full of like to-dos, due dates and goals." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I love whiteboarding. I love being like blah, blah, blah." So we were talking about how that could be an indicator like your tolerance or enjoyment for brainstorming. Threes typically don't love to pontificate on like possibilities, and sevens sometimes like me, it's like, "Oh my God, that's so fun and addicting."
yeah. See, and see, that's an interesting one because that's one of those ones where I'm saying again. I think it depends on, because to me that sounds more like an eight. Like an eight to me doesn't want to be in there unless they control it because it's take too much time.
Take
Like
too much
when I think
time,
about
yeah.
the eights I work with, they're like, whoa. Why? Just make the decision. Just do it. Versus a three, like I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind having those brainstorming sessions as long as again, as long as we come out with actions. So that's
Same.
where for me, I can do it, but we have to come out with something that we're doing.
Hmm.
If that doesn't happen, that's when I'm like, okay, hold up. No, no. Um,
Yeah.
interesting. So that's very interesting. And
Anyway,
again,
I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
you know, but to your point, and you know, I don't know if that's because that's the transmitting side of me,
Uh-huh.
where, that whole thing, and again, we probably don't want to get off kilter of what we're supposed to be focusing on today. But I think that could be part of that coloring.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think there is, I mean, there is a significant expression difference in the expression of the type when you consider a transmitting three versus a preserving three, who almost looks like a type one. So in another workshop, there was a gentleman who had a lot of vibes like you, Dee. Like he had really fun glasses. Every time I saw him, he was in, I mean, just really like tailored clothes, but they were bright. And it was never too much, but it was just like you could tell. And that he like really paid attention and curated, just really, what's the word?
I like you use that
Just,
word curated.
yeah, yeah. Just, he had a look going on. He definitely had like a brand. Like his brand was this like well dressed, but brightly well dressed man. And then right next to him, was his coworker who also identified as a type three. But it was like, I don't know. How can we both be the same type? And we got down to it. He's like, okay, he's kind of more of that preserving. He had on like Levi's, like a just random button up, flannel shirt. He's like, I don't care about my outfits. I don't care about this. I don't need the recognition as much. And so the instinctual biases definitely flavor that as well as your life experiences, birth
Well,
order, child, all this stuff. But I think that is one that I often see is the preserving three and the preserving or the transmitting eight who or I'm gosh, I can't talk. Preserving three and the transmitting three who are like, how can we be the same type? I must be another type. If you're this type, I must be a different one.
yeah,
So, okay, so we have those and then the last one in the what is known as the I guess assertive kind of high
sort of
energy group
types. Hi.
is the type 8. How do you describe the type 8?
Uh, what was that song back in the 90s? I got the power.
Yeah,
Right? They
yeah.
they they want the control, the power, can't feel weak. Um, so that's what I think about the those eights. If you want a decision made, eights will make the decision. Right? They'll be like, okay, this is what we're doing. Uh, so yeah, that's kind of how I think about when I think about eight. So it's the first thing to come to mind for me.
Mm-hmm. My brother is a type 8 and I actually had him on the podcast as one of my first guests like 3 years ago. And I got a memory a couple of weeks ago from that interview and it was a clip of him where I had asked him like, what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs or people thinking about opening their own or something like that. And his advice was literally just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. I mean, he just was like, he would try and like say something else, but then would just come back to like, just do it. And it's like, oh, sure, I'll just do it. And it's like no step by step. It's like no explain, just push through and do it. And that is so like Nike is the ultimate type 8 slogan, I think. Just do it. Just for fun, I have Jeep slogan, go anywhere, do anything for 7, and then for 3, oh, it's Wheaties, Breakfast for Champions is the brand. So,
What are they
but
doing?
yeah, I was like, I kind of yeah. So just for fun. But the eights, I have found that in the initial typing, eights, especially women, it is kind of it's not as it's not as always as straightforward because we talk about eights tend to know more than anybody. Like it's very clear. It's like if you're considering am I an eight or a one, you're probably a one. If you're am I an eight or a three, you're probably a three. You know, not always, but some men, some women too will say like I don't know that I don't have to be the boss. Like I don't know that like I don't have to like powerful. That sounds weird. I don't know, but it's the power to produce a result, the power to make something happen. And when you kind of frame it like that, people are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I do like." But I don't know, any experience in your workshops or working with clients around their
So
like
I would say it's
perception?
interesting. So people who have a some people have a aversion to the word power,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're like, oh, I don't want, and especially in today's space, that word tends to be almost kind of going a negative space of power. Um, but at the same time, if you ask them about having control and having to control things, if they're honest with themselves, typically they'll go, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I guess. But who doesn't, right? And then they'll,
Yeah.
but who doesn't? You're like, well, a lot of folks, and especially to the level that you have to control things. And I specifically, I would say with a lot of the women in my workshops, they respond better to that word because then they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. And especially when they're thinking about it from a work perspective. But even some of them in their household, they're like, no, I control it. I need because they, and their thing is because if I don't, who's gonna do it?
Right.
If I don't, who's gonna do it?
Right.
And so you're like, okay, well, there you go. That's where you are. So yeah, so that's what I would say that I have found. As you talk about family members that are eights, so my father-in-law is an eight, and he lives in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado,
Okay.
but originally from New York. And so
Okay.
if you know anything about Boulder, Colorado, and Brooklyn, New York, totally different, right?
Totally different.
Totally different,
Just like imagining. Huh.
totally
Okay.
different. And so one year, for his birthday, we got him this bumper sticker because in Boulder, you're driving around and everyone's on their car, they'll have like, have a nice day, have a nice day. And so we got him this bumper sticker one year that says, don't tell me what kind of day to have.
Okay. Yeah. That's so good.
And,
That's so good.
which resonated with him as an eight because he's like, don't tell me what kind of day to have. Like, I'll have a nice day if I have a nice day.
Yeah. I'll have
Yeah,
an idea if I want to. Don't
exactly.
tell me what to do. Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. I kind of think like just like as a vibe, New York City is has a lot of type 8 vibes. It's just like that direct, say it straight, you know.
A lot of
So
that
that's
energy.
interesting. Yes. Um, let's see the when people because I think too there's a lot of stereotypes around eights being very direct, very confident, decisive, but they can also be so much fun, so incredibly warm at
Oh yeah.
times. And so sometimes I will see people struggle between am I an eight or am I a seven? Because sevens also don't love to be controlled. That freedom is really important. But what I have seen, and please share if you see something different or you have anything to add to this, is that I've heard of this term like soft rebellion versus like more direct rebellion. And so, how that will typically be expressed is like a seven will soft rebel, and that might be making friends with the manager. So then they don't have to be told, now they're friends with the manager and they don't have to follow the rules like everybody else does. But for an eight, where it's a little bit more direct, it might be like, no, I'm not doing that. Or, just a little, a little bit more direct. So I don't know. Any thoughts? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I would say that was pretty spot on. What I will see is those sevens, and they will find a way to what I call laugh it out. right? So
Uh-huh.
they'll find a way to laugh it out, like, yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe, and then just kind of not do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus eights, to your point, it's you can tell it's a literally like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that,
Yeah. No
and
thanks.
and
Hard pass.
that's it. That's end of discussion.